Alright guys, it's Cammy again. I hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. Neptune was the subject of many conversations last year, making multiple grand finals with the Vancouver Surge, but one of the key talking points about Neptune was his trash talk going on during the season. Boz and many others made it a very entertaining moment of the year, but is that going to change in the upcoming season? Simp, who's not officially as a recording, announced that he's teaming with Neptune for next year on the Gentamate. He says he is going to ramp up Neptune's trash talk to new levels when they hit the server next year. This Gentamate team is expecting, therefore, to be particularly good and have the opportunity to drop a load of trash talk on the main stage. Very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I just saw this clip here floating around, of course. Here we are on Fringe, and there's been a little bit of talk about what other maps could potentially come back there for the new title in Black Ops 7. Are there any other BO3 maps that could return? You know, is there maybe a Stronghold? I'm not so sure. I always mention Stronghold, and I'm going to keep doing it until it eventually does get remastered. I will share a couple of clips here. This one from Nadeshot on BO7, his thoughts on the game. He was also talking about how, you know, once again we're in this kind of cult-like situation where either you're a COD guy or you're a Battlefield guy, and if you like Battlefield you must hate Black Ops 7, and if you like Black Ops 7 you must hate Battlefield 6. You know how it goes. So but Nade's pretty happy with both games. I see his perspective on this. The other clip though, speaking of nature, I wanted to share was this from Donny Temp. So he's talking about LA Thieves, right, and their roster for the upcoming season, and he's talking about the Friendship League really as a concept, right? Because there's always this debate about, do you need to be friends with your teammates to make it work? Now, the logic really for building teams should be to make your teammates your friends rather than your friends your teammates, right? And I think that's what Don's getting at, really, is that Ken and aBeZy are joining the team. They're not necessarily going to be best buddies. They will be friends, I'm sure, to a certain extent, but they're not necessarily going to be, you know, absolute best boys all the time. But that's absolutely what you want, right? And Traixx even talked about it a number of times on our show, and Don said the same, that there's various teammates they've had in the past, they've had success with, that they've not seen eye to eye with. And not to say that Kenny and aBeZy won't, I'm sure they'll get on perfectly okay, but it is absolutely possible. The reason why he says this is in the context of Ghosty and HyDra, right? Because the rumor was from Parasite that Ghosty and HyDra weren't seeing eye to eye, and Don was like, well, maybe HyDra was saying, damn, this damn Ghosty guy just costed me this map and all this stuff. And his opinion, Don, is like, look, if you're Ghosty there, you've got to fire yourself up for that, right? Okay, if HyDra's talking trash on you, if he thinks you're not good enough, you've got to lock in, you've got to prove him wrong, and even if that means a little bit of intra-team conflict, that's better because it pushes everyone to be better. I mean, they had this on the Complexity Dynasty famously, right? The Call Dynasty, they all thought that they were like better than each other. Like Crim thought he was better than Clay, Karma, and Aches. Aches thought he was better than those other guys. Like there was a big intra-team rivalry on that team between who was actually the best player in the game. But what they did know is that they as a quartet were better than anybody else by miles, and therefore that's why they teamed with one another, right? Of course, TP as well on that roster, right? It was Karma for a while, it was Clayster before that, but you know, all those guys, the conversation, and even to some extent maybe on the OpTic Dynasty this was true, to continue the story with Traixx, he said that for a few times he teamed with Rated, for example, him and Rated were not exactly boys, but they were great. And they knew that as teammates they could do damage, and so they put their personal differences aside when it was necessary, and we see this all across sports, right? So I think there's just an interesting debate there on the concept of the Friendship League. Why, yes, the Friendship League does exist, I think, to a certain extent. Actually, the best teams, they might end up being friendly to some degree, but they don't even necessarily have to be, and if they are, it's not because they chose to be friends over being teammates, right? So that's what Don's getting into here.
Many people hate Call of Duty now. God, I have so many harsh opinions because I feel like Call of Duty's in such a weird place where, well, gaming in general. I mean, I have the same conversations every day, bro. You know, obviously it's a weird dynamic because I'm a streamer and I play video games for a living, and I rely on people's interest in those games to make that living. So I guess my perspective is probably skewed a little bit. Not from, I think, what my opinions are on those games, but you guys are probably, I mean, even like subconsciously, maybe my desire to defend games is motivated and charged without me realizing it, that I want people to like the game as much as I do so that I can benefit from it monetarily, but I don't think that's actually it. I'm excited for Battlefield 6, but I'll tell you what, man. I just see everybody on the timeline talking about we ain't buying this shit, cuzzo. Fuck Call of Duty. This game sucks. This Call of Duty looks terrible. And I genuinely mean this with everything that I am and every fiber in my being. This game in the beta, Black Ops 7, feels really good. I mean, it's probably one of the better CODs that I've played in the last few years.
My eyes, I teamed with people. Every one of my teammates at the beginning were more accomplished than me. Like Trey, you said that they all won. I was the one who didn't win. Looney won 5. I was calling I was standing up to everybody. I didn't give a fuck. What the fuck, bitch?
You're better than everyone.
You camping in the corner. I'm fucking saying anything. But it's not to attack them. It's not to threaten them. It's just to get better. It's just to win at the end of the day. And that's how it should be. You shouldn't have to be like I don't see Kenny joining this team and aBeZy joining this team, and these guys are fucking in the gym together. They're getting ice cream together. They're fucking building Legos together. No, they're there to win a
Watching
championship.
Love Island together.
They're there, yeah. They're there to fucking win a championship. You do not have to be absolute greatest friends of all time to win a championship. I don't give a fuck if HyDra called Ghosty shit. He could call him shit. Fight back. Do better than me. Like what the fuck? Call me shit. If you call, you know what I'm saying? Like if HyDra's probably like, Dan costed us this match. That's something HyDra would probably say.
But let's talk about this Neptune trash talk stuff, right? So last year, I mean, we had some very entertaining moments. This was just one of them with Neptune when he was standing up on the main stage and he was giving it all this across the other side, you know, beans. I mean, I find this so funny to look back on. And even Nastie next to him is standing up. I was looking at him being like, damn, let's go. Make sure he hears you right on the other side of the stage. So Bo's kind of helped make this moment blow up, and there are a fair few clips like this, especially at that second major in Dallas, but other moments during the season as well, you know, the World Championship and all that stuff, it was also happening too, and here he is still pointing later on in the year. So Neptune, entertaining character for sure. Last season he definitely turned some heads, and he was killing it in the server as well. And will that be expected to continue? We talked about it earlier today. Neptune's movement looking pretty tasty compared to some of the other players in the league so far. We would expect former Halo guy, great movement in BO6, would probably only step up on that going into BO7 potentially and beyond as well. Last year he made a huge impact to what's happened on Surge. They started the year with Hixie, they brought in Neptune, they went from being, well, struggling heavily, let's say, to being one of the best teams in the game, consistently making multiple grand finals, and Neptune was not the only piece of that. The other team improved and did a great job as well, but I think many would say that Neptune was the driving force behind Surge last year. So we can expect more moments like this is what we're talking about. And also, it's not like Neptune has shied away from getting into a little bit of drama, a little bit of rivalry, right? Like he's talking a bit of trash on, you know, HyDra or whatever. Of course, he was roasting beans. You know, he will stand up and talk trash. So it's worth talking about what could be next, especially when Sib reveals, as I say, at a recording, they've not yet confirmed themselves as a team, but we have seen Sib, Neptune, Ghosty, Envoy, even their coach, I think Vios, we've seen them grinding the Black Ops 7 beta over the last few days before it came to a close, and Sib and Neptune, it's pretty clear that, yeah, they're going to be teaming together. Gentlemates, I don't know, they're waiting for the Paris relocation or something. We talked about that earlier today. But Sib says that he intends to teach Neptune the ways, right? To get this guy really fired up and make sure that his trash talk is absolutely top tier going into the upcoming season.
I gotta teach Nep how to trash talk this season. Someone said.
No, I don't know. I'm gonna do the same shit.
Look at me. Look at me. Look at me. Ass nigga.
This shit was fraud, bro.
Ass nigga.
I don't give a fuck, bro. I'll be laughing.
So is this team going to be good enough to deliver some trash talk? I think the funny thing is that back at the World Cup, we had that beef between Ghosty and Neptune, right? Like we had Ghosty who was standing up talking trash to Nep because he thought that he'd snaked him. And there was loads of talk about this clip, wasn't there? Because people thought that the Thieves guys were not really interested in what Dan Ghosty had to say. And I can understand that looking at this clip. But anyway, Neptune and Ghosty, they've put that behind them. It seems they're going to be teammates on the upcoming season. And we've talked about loads of the other rosters that have been confirmed over the last few days. The Ghosty, Neptune, Envoy, and Sib team has some questions about it, but also clearly it's pretty much stacked with talent as well. Could they be a serious threat? Who's Neptune going to be talking the trash to next season? That's a good question. Is Sib going to help make that happen, or is it plausible that Sib's general demeanor and everything on the team is actually going to cause internal conflict? Right? I think loads of people have questions on what that looks like going forward. Just before we close out the video, I wanted to go through this. Brian Stats came up with an interesting stat. 12 players in COD history have won a major championship 6 or more years apart. So there's 12 that have done it. It's Scump, Crim, Slasher, Cap, John, Eggs, Clay, Dashy, Kenny, Karma, Octane, and Attack. So understandably, a lot of veteran players on there, right? You've got to play for at least 6 seasons to do that. I think Scump holds the overall record from his first championship in Black Ops 1 in 2010, probably 2011, until he won the first event in Vanguard, basically 11 years later. So I think Scump holds the record for the most distance apart, but if you're talking 6 or more years, then these are the names. However, there are some other names that you might not consider to be such veterans who are also looking to join the list, and these are those 6 players. So Simp, aBeZy, Shotzzy, Huke, Envoy, and Selim, if they were to win this upcoming year, their first event win would be 6 years ago, right? Back in, well, for Simp and aBeZy, of course, 2019. For Shotzzy, it would be, very early 2020. Huke, Envoy, Selim in a pretty similar boat to that as well. So, those are players that could potentially join that list this season. It would be a surprise if none of them didn't, right? Well, Shotzzy and Huke on OpTic, we're certainly expecting them to win at least an event. The questions on whether FaZe will, and then of course Selim on Falcons. I don't think many are expecting them to win anything. Maybe they could be competitive, but I'm not so convinced. And then of course it's Envoy on Gentlemates, right, that would look to add his name to the list as well. Maybe they could do some damage with this Neptune trash short getting pack-a-punched by Sip. So very much enjoyed your thoughts on all of this stuff in a comment. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.
From the Flank series, Ace, the calmest troublemaker in the game, geared up with his signature hoodie, glasses, and the confidence of 1,000 clutches. Traixx smashed the included green wall with his heavy-duty hammer.
Never wrong, just early.
He might show up late though, and don't ask him about OpTic. He hates